Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday. And welcome back to another episode of Pucks and Power Plays podcast. Pucks and Power Plays is brought to you by Boston Sports Entertainment Network. You can find BSEN at BSEN_617 on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and then on TikTok with an extra underscore in front, so underscore BSEN_617. You can find the podcast at Pucks and PP's Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you like to listen to podcasts. And we do have a Discord. I did not plan it as of right now. I'm still between two books, but on that Discord, we do have a book club, and the book of the month for April is going to be posted either later tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that. If you're interested in joining, send me a message, send a message to the podcast, leave a comment, do something, and I'll send you the link and get you added to that. I'm Liz. You can find me at Liz__Fraser. And we're back with a very fun and slightly different pregame chat before the game tonight. I thought this would be a fun little thing to kind of experiment with and see how it would go. And also maybe, I don't know if I'll necessarily do something like this for the playoffs, but we'll see if we do something like this for the playoffs, because I feel like that could also be fun instead of just like an overall recap, but maybe a recap and like a pregame on elimination ones. We'll see. But for a quick little fun, here's all the spiel stuff. We do, if you were watching us instead of listening, there is a QR code you can scan in the top corner. And if you're listening, you can go to bsen617.square.site to check out our cool store. We have some nice merch there, whether it's for any Boston sports team or even podcast merch. I recommend something maybe for this podcast because it's pretty cool. But make sure to check that out. And then one quick little last announcement before we do everything else fun for this podcast. We have a partnership with Just Strong. So they are a women's, I'm thinking of the word, sorry. I had work earlier, so my brain's still a bit, they're a women's athleisure company that focus on uplifting women and making sure they feel comfortable in their bodies while also looking great at the same time. So you can go to us.juststrong.com and use our code PUCKS103975 for 10% off your order. And their clothes are super comfortable, and as it's starting to get warmer, they are perfect for this time of year. But outside of that, we are now into the fun, do a quick little recap before we get into pregame talk of how the Bruins were last week. And last week was interesting, to say the least. This is the one thing I forgot to pull up. That's my bad. But last week, between the time we have talked and now, we had 4 games, and we started off strong with a win against Dallas. We ended up winning that game 6-3, which is great, until the final 3 games, which will lead us into our fun talk for tonight. But our past 3 games after that amazing win were not so great. We played Thursday against the Panthers, and we lost 2-1. That game, I feel like we just weren't playing. Like, yeah, we did eventually have a goal, but outside of that goal, I don't feel like the Bruins were there, if that makes sense. Saturday, we lost 3-1 to the Lightning, and then on Sunday, we lost 2-1 in overtime to the Flyers. And while I'm not a fan of the losing, like, I don't want that right now, especially with how close the playoff race is getting, I would at least like a point out of every game. Do I think the Bruins deserved a point against the Flyers? No. Am I happy they got a point? Yes. Because every point matters at this point. And I think if I did my math correctly, we need 4 more points to guarantee that we're going to be in the playoffs. I believe it's 3 for most teams, and then it's, I want to say 4 with Ottawa. I haven't checked in a minute. This was like quick math I did on Sunday. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what we need. So again, every point matters, especially with the teams we have coming up with Carolina, Tampa, Columbus, and the Devils. But the main focus is on tonight against Carolina. So in the next because I can do math, 50 minutes, we will be playing the Carolina Hurricanes, who have a chance to, what's the word? Sorry, I'm pulling it up because I saw it earlier and I'm going to forget, but they can clinch their division tonight, I believe. And I'm just going to double check that. Yes. So Carolina, with at least 1 point tonight, will clinch the Metro Division title. Which, woo, good for them. But also, I would not like to give them a point. But at the same time, they're probably going to get one. They kind of scare me. They were on a 3-game winning streak before they lost to Ottawa. I believe it was the other day. That's the one thing I didn't pull up. I pulled up all the stuff pregame for Boston and totally forgot about Carolina. So, oops. Sorry about that. Before we get into post-game stats of who's in, who's out of the lineup, there is one big thing that kind of concerns the Bruins going into today's game, which is goals. In our last 3 games, we have had 3 goals. There's been nothing else. We have players that are shooting the puck, they're trying, but nothing's going in, and 3 goals in 3 games is a bit of a problem. You can't really, yes, you can win a game 1-0, but you can't win every game 1-0. As we have seen with them, they need to have, the lines haven't been the issue. Just to start with that, I feel like with how they're going, they're not horrible. But we need players to be where they need to be for certain goals to happen. I believe it was the Florida game, like Bob let up however many rebounds it was, and we just didn't have anyone there to get the puck, which is a huge issue with it because there's at least 2, if not 3 more goals. But points and goals have been a bit of an issue for this team all of a sudden. And I'm not a fan because if we do make the playoffs, you don't want that in the playoffs. That just needs to go away. We need to find point production somewhere, and I would very much like it to come out. I'm also seeing what the Bruins have posted so far in terms of updates for today's game. And of course, they just posted it, which thank you very much, Bruins. So I'm going to pull up their rundown. But back to Carolina, they've played the Senators back on Sunday, and they lost 6-3 to them. So they can score, which is concerning because looking at their games before that, when they had their winning streak, they had a 5-2, a 5-1, and a 4-3 win. This team is scary. I'm not going to lie. I'm a bit of a Canes fan as well. So they don't scare me as much in the sense of like, oh, one of my teams is going to win tonight. But from a Bruins fan perspective, they scare the crap out of me. Like, this is a good team. Good forwards, good defense, good goaltending. They found what they're doing, and they're going with it, and everything's working for them. They're getting the protection everywhere. You're seeing it with multiple different lines. You're seeing it across the team. It's just a bit terrifying to look at. But in terms of the Bruins for tonight, we do have, I'm going to find it. Yes. So before the game actually started, we didn't have our morning skate this morning. Nothing was held. It was actually, in fact, I believe canceled. Sturm said it's about playing a lot of hockey, making it about tonight. He wants to give the guys the best opportunity to perform here. So it seems like it's a bit of a break, especially because he mentions with how they've played back-to-back, we're running low a bit. And I feel like we also saw that in the previous games where the energy just wasn't necessarily there. Now, I don't blame the Bruins because I can do quick math. Within 8 games, 6 of those games were a back-to-back. So there was only breaks between the series as well. But it's like you played 2 games, you had a break for a day. You played another 2 games, had a break, had a game, break, game, break, another 2 games. So I totally get it. It's very much heavy schedule. You want a break. And when it's coming out on the ice of how they're playing, of like you can see the sloppiness, you can see the tiredness, then it does make sense just to kind of give them that break and see them all come together tonight. Now with the lineup change, I'm a bit iffy on it. I think practice maybe should have happened. So if you haven't seen it yet, there are no changes to our D. Sway's going to be in net, which great. I think he should be in net against Carolina. Corpy had played the game on Sunday against the Flyers, which I think if you're going to have one of them play Sunday, especially with Sway starting on Saturday, you're going to have him play today, because if he plays Sunday, Corpy probably would have played today. And for a potential first-round match, I would rather do what the Bruins are doing, of use your starting goalie, the one you're going to have in the playoffs, against this team to prep for a week. Because, fun fact, our last regular season game is a week from today. Woo! 4 more games, and it's the end of the season. Whoop-de-doo. But we have Steve's back in the lineup for Reichel today. He has played his last game as an emergency call-up. He can't play anymore unless we announce him as a normal call-up. I haven't seen anything about that yet. Unless something changes while we're on here, he's currently up with the team, but is unable to play. So I don't know if they're still trying to figure out, maybe based off how the game goes today, if they want to keep him up or if they're going to send him back down, and how they're going to go about this situation. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on, especially if you do need that left winger, because I don't know, that line's been interesting. But that line was also different last game. It was what I like to call the kids line of Reichel, Husnudinov, and Mitten. We swapped our lines up, I'm assuming in hopes of production as well. But that spot's been an in and out all season. And I feel like we just need to end up having someone there. We need a solid player at this point. I don't think swapping Steves and Yzerman and Reichel in and out of the lineup is going to work. You need to pick one and stick with it. And I feel like if you're not going to sign Higgins and you're not going to call him up, Reichel's your answer right now out of those 3. Steves was great to start the season, but I feel like he's not fitting in with how the team is right now, and that's fair. It happens. I don't think anyone expected him to necessarily make the team before the season started, so the fact that he did it is great. But if it's not fitting, it's not fitting, and that's okay. We have other guys for a reason. But outside of that, we also have okay, so the lines, it looks like, will be the same. Steves will be playing on the line with Mitten and Husnudinov. Sorry, I'm reading this at the same time because, of course, the need to know doesn't come out early like it typically does. It's coming out while streaming, so trying to find the information is like a live process because, of course, they post it right when it's happening. But for that, I might as well just share it because I feel like that makes sense to share what's going on. I'll zoom in a bit so you guys can see if you're watching. And this way you can also see where I'm at when I go quiet and I try to find something in here. I believe, I'm actually going to double check this quickly. I want to say Sway played both of the games against Carolina. So this is our 3rd game against them this season. We played them back in November. Which whoop-de-doo? I didn't really get to watch either of those. I watched a bit of the first one because it was on my husband's birthday. And then, of course, you know, the second one happens when I get married. So I didn't even get to watch it. which was very rude of the Bruins. And they proceeded to lose that game, which is also rude of the Bruins. Swayman played the first game against them, and the second game against them. So he will have played all 3 games in this series. In the first game, he only let in 1 goal. We had won that 2-1. And then in the second game, he let in 3 goals. And we lost 3-1. He didn't. Every goal for Carolina, at least in those games, came at even strength, so I'm not mad. He didn't let any power play goals in, so I'll take it. He also didn't let in any shorthanded goals, which I'll also take. Also, this is reminding me, our penalty kill is getting, or not penalty kill, our penalty kill has been an issue. Our power play is starting to become an issue. And now is not the time for that. I need that to stay up there. I believe our power play is still up there overall. I could be wrong. But I'm going to check anyways. Because, of course, I think of stuff as I'm talking. Because it wouldn't be me if I didn't. But our power play is 9th in the league. We're at 23.7%. We have definitely fallen since we've last looked at this. Carolina, for their power play, by the way, is at 24.7. They're tied with the Penguins for 5th. And their penalty kill is 80.1, so they're 12th. And our penalty kill, I believe it's gone up. I think we were around 28th last time, but we are currently 26th. Still not great, but not the worst. We're at 76.6%. So both can definitely use improvement. Our penalty kill's just been our penalty kill this season, so if we're going to improve somewhere, would like to improve back on the power play again. Would be nice to get back in the top 5. But but looking back at this, for what's going on, Sturm looks at the opponent when we play our games with the rest of our lineup being the same and the same lines. He thinks Steve's been excellent in practice, and I feel like if you're not signing, or if you're not having Reichel be a regular call-up, he is who you're going to put in the lineup over Yzerman. And especially if he has been working hard, like he says, I'm hoping he's one of the guys who wants to try and improve themselves tonight, helps with our goal production as well. Would be great. Would absolutely love that. Yes, Mason, I forgot to mention this last episode, and I totally said I would. Mason was missing a few games due to an upper body injury, like it says on there. He was day-to-day. This is going to be his 2nd game since returning from that injury. We have no clue what had happened to him, but he's back. So, yay. I love how they put that. I would like the former Hurricanes picks to score. I feel like that would be nice. I also feel like Hall has been on a streak recently. I'm not going to lie, seeing his name there with the goal. I don't necessarily know if this was just me thinking of it, but I want to say he's on a point streak. Again, I could be wrong, but I feel like he's been doing a lot more recently. Okay, he's only on a 3-game point streak. Whatever. I'm very curious what goalie we're going to be playing against tonight. If it's Anderson, I have a lot more faith in the Bruins just because overall Bruins and Anderson, thrown back to when he was on Toronto, feel like it makes sense. But they do have Bussy on their team, considering they had picked him up, I believe it was on waivers. I'm now seeing that last line of how he's expected to get the start against the Bruins, and at that point, I'm now saying it is a loss for the Bruins. I'm going to hope the Bruins win. I don't think we will. Same with what we saw with the Flyers. when we play our former goalies, especially when they were younger goalies as well, when we had them and they were our prospects, I feel like we don't do well. We or not we. Yeah, Vladar was in net for the Flyers game. And I don't know if this is just a random stat I'm making up, but I feel like literally every time we've played against him since we got rid of him, or since he got claimed, I don't remember what happened with him. If we traded him or if he got claimed off waivers. But ever since he hasn't been with the Bruins organization, I don't feel like we've won a single game against him. I could be wrong. This could just be a feeling I have, and we could have actually won a game against him. But I feel like we haven't. And the fact that we're playing another former Bruins goalie is terrifying. He's been doing great in Carolina. He has a 2.46 goals against average, an 8.95 save percentage through 36 games, which, while it's not necessarily the best for his first full season in the NHL, that's not bad. Especially with, I think he had like the 11-game win streak or whatever it was. He set some record for Carolina, so good for him. Kind of scares me. I also want to see the last time he played. He has played the most games so far for Carolina this season out of all three of their goaltenders, which is something very interesting to look at. But his last game was on the 4th against the Islanders. He let in 3 goals, and he is currently, in terms of when he's played, on a 4-game win streak, letting in a total of 10 goals across 4 games. 3-2-2-3. Don't know if that matters, but I would like more than 1 goal from the Bruins, so maybe, hopefully, he lets in some goals for his former team and doesn't decide to stand on his head against a former team like some of our former goalies do. Would appreciate it. Would also appreciate it if Hall doesn't score against us, because that happened last time, and I would like it to not happen again. But those are the fun little opposing views. There's also the mention of Carolina winning 3 of their last 5. Before today, they also had a back-to-back this previous weekend, and they have 4 more games after tonight. So I feel like in terms of looking at what the Bruins need out of this game and what Carolina needs out of this game, it's not so much of a desperate win for them. They're also confirmed to be in the playoffs, and I don't see anything about them sitting some of their guys, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're at this point where they start like easing up on top guys' minutes and letting them sit so they don't potentially get injured right before the playoffs. I don't think they've mentioned anything about that. Will I check? 100%. Would help if I could spell. I'm not gonna lie. This is also their last home game for the regular season, so that's fun. Sorry, I'm looking through their stuff, but outside of that, I don't think I necessarily see anything about any players sitting, which I'm kind of surprised about. I feel like when we're getting into the final week of the regular season, we start to see teams sit their top players if they're confirmed to be in the playoffs, especially a team that's 1 point away from clinching their division. So that's interesting to me. But I also don't know if it's something to do with them potentially wanting to win the East as a whole. Again, I don't think that necessarily matters to some teams, but it might. And I don't know. But that is something to keep an eye on, is if they start maybe not taking players out of the game or out of future games, so to say. But if they start resting them a bit more, maybe seeing more of their fourth and third line instead of their first and second, just to get an idea of like resting guys for playoffs. Now for the Bruins, we can't be doing that. We also need Morgan Geekie to have a goal. He hasn't had a goal in over a month now. And like, I'm not too worried about it. People will go through these streaks. It's not like he's not getting points. He does have assists within this time. It is just goals right now. But it would also help our goal production. So I would like a Morgan Geekie goal. I feel like it would be very fitting against a former team. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. He's still also leading the team in goals. Right behind him is Zaka and Pasta at 29. Zaka can keep doing what he's doing. He's doing great since the Olympic break, but he's been on it. He has goals, I want to say in almost all of the last games. At least 2 of them, if not all of them. Okay, it was really only last game. He had an assist on the 1 goal of the game before, but we're just going to say he's had it in all of them. But since returning from the Olympics, Zaka only hasn't had points in 5 games. One of them was the first game back, then the 10th and the 12th, then the game on the 2nd of April, and he had a point there, the 21st of March. But otherwise, he's had at least 1, if not 2 points every other game since break. So he can keep doing what he's doing. He's doing great. He's having the time of his life. I'm happy with how he's going. I love that second line. I'm not going to lie. Arvidsson has, he sold himself. I buy into it a bit now. I know I wasn't the biggest supporter, but that second line's great. Also, don't mind me. I am pulling up the lines from last game, because I know Middlestat's on that line, but I kind of forgot Middlestat was on that line and I couldn't remember his name. But that second line's beautiful. I love our fourth line. I do think it's interesting that Geekie and Lindholm went back up with Pasta when Pasta has worked so well with Mitten and Kuznetsov. But I'm assuming it is for, again, point production of getting Geekie and Lindholm going. I feel like, I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like one of those two might have an injury, potentially Lindholm, because it feels like he's kind of regressed back to how he was at the end of last season. Like, he started going with points like he did last season all of a sudden at the end. But it also feels like he's kind of shifted how he's played in a way that's similar to how last season started, which is when he was injured. So I don't know if there's an injury or if it's just him trying to, like, change things around to see if he can do that to get something to work. But again, I'm not really sure. It's all speculation at the end until something comes out being like, hey, so-and-so was injured or so-and-so wasn't. You don't really know anything. I don't think there's any other fun little changes in terms of either teams. Bussy is starting. This is confirmed. Carolina did just post that. His record for the season, by the way, is 29-6-1. Would like to make that a 7. Hopefully, and not 30. Would very much appreciate that. But also the Bruins as a whole, not just this season, but in previous seasons, like to give players and teams the points or goals they need. Like last game, we gave I don't remember his name, and I feel so bad for this, but the player for the Flyers who scored the overtime game winner got his first NHL goal. So, like, we like to give those away like candy. So I'm kind of expecting those 30 wins to happen, but at the same time, I'm going to hope the Bruins don't do that. But in terms of the standings, also, since we talked, Montreal has clinched a playoff spot. Toronto and Florida have been eliminated. The Wild, if we're looking at the West, clinched a spot, and Chicago has been eliminated. But the playoff race is getting close, my friends. It's getting way too close. So for a quick little look, Boston's still in the top wildcard spot with 95 points. Right below us is the Senators with 90. They do have a game in hand. So they have 5 more games on the season, which means the max amount of points they could get if they win everything is 100. Right? Yes. I did do my math right. Which means I didn't do my math. I didn't come prepared. We need to get, and they do have the tiebreaker over us, which means we would need. Okay, so we have 2 ways to go this. If we want the top wild card spot, we need 6 more points if Ottawa is to win all 5 of their remaining games. As long as we get 6 points, that top wild card spot is ours. Now, that doesn't count for looking between us and Montreal, and potentially, if they go on losing streaks, us with Buffalo and Tampa. But if we just look at the wild card, 6 more points are needed to guarantee top wild card is ours. Ottawa cannot pass us. We would be 1 point ahead of them. Now, if we are to get only 5 more points and tie them, we would fall to the bottom wild card, which, yeah, that's really all we need. None of the other teams could pass us. Yeah, because that would put us at 99. And Detroit is the closest. They would only get to 98. Sorry. I'm staring at this and I'm like, I know the numbers. And then I'm seeing the 8s and I'm like, I don't know numbers anymore. But if we are to only then get 3 more points, because I am doing math, and the max any of the teams below us can now get, if they were to win everything and not lose a game, is 98. Yeah. Right? Yes, 98. Sorry, my brain's like not having a good time right now. I'm also double checking my math. Okay, so if they were all to get 98, which would just be, oh no, I didn't look at Washington. No, Washington has 4. They don't matter. Okay, it would be Detroit and Columbus. I am so sorry, guys. This one's a bit over the place. My brain is fried, and I can't do quick math sometimes. Sometimes I can. Sometimes I can't. They would both be, with the 98, we have the tiebreaker over both of them. So I'm not too worried about it. If they are to win everything in order to stay in the playoffs, we literally just need 3 points in 4 games, which is a win and an overtime loss. So I'm not scared. I believe in this team. I believe they can get a minimum of 3 points in 4 games. Now, do I think we're going to get more than that? I don't know. I feel like knowing our luck, it would literally be up until the Devils game next week. And that would be the final point we'd get in like an overtime loss. Because like we'll lose 1 game in regulation, 2 games in overtime. And then it's like, oh, you need 1 more point to guarantee stay in the playoffs if every team wins. Which, again, is unlikely that they'll do that for 5 straight. But also, who knows? There are teams on 4-game losing streaks, and you can easily have a 5+ game winning streak if you really wanted. And a lot of these teams will. But looking at that, with then Montreal only being at 100 points, obviously they're probably not going to lose all of their remaining games, but we do have the chance to pass them. again, I'm so sorry. Quick math is not my friend today. We can end up with a max of 103 points. So every team wants to lose the rest of their games, and we somehow win the rest of them. We could, theoretically, Tampa would have to lose in regulation. Like, if those three teams lose every remaining game in regulation and we win the rest, we could theoretically be the top team in the Atlantic. Now, I don't see it happening. I don't necessarily see us passing Montreal. And I don't necessarily think we're going to end up with 100 points. But it would be interesting, and something fun to kind of keep an eye on is to see, like, if they go down a losing streak, what that would mean for Boston, especially if they then decide to start sitting people. I know they all still have the whole fighting for home ice advantage, obviously. Tampa and Buffalo are right there, literally 1 and 2, coming down to games played as of right now. I was going to say the tiebreaker. Tampa has a game in hand. But if they are to lose, it then does come down to multiple different tiebreakers because they are tied with their regulation wins. So it's interesting to see that, and if they decide to start either reducing minutes for their teams, for their players as well, or sitting them, or if they're going to keep up that fight for home ice. Obviously, the Bruins aren't getting that, and Carolina will. And again, now that I'm thinking about it, with today being their last home game, it makes sense that they wouldn't necessarily sit any of their top players because it's their last home game and it's not their final game of the season. It's very interesting. Bruins are going out to warm-ups as of right now. Fun fact, I saw the notification from the Bruins and I was like, oh, what's this? It's just them going out to warm-ups. So important, but not like up there. Also, I'm so sorry if this was so rambly. I promise I have this planned and I do have like actually 10 plus tabs open for this right now. But after work, my brain is, again, a bit scattered. It was a long day. And they also didn't post anything until after this has started, which made it a bit fun to try and guess and not be like, oh, I know the exact points to mention. But as of right now, that is where the Bruins are at. That's where Carolina's at. They have their confirmed players, their confirmed lineup, same as last time. We have Steve's back in. I'm not mad about it. I understand Reichel isn't a normal call-up, so he's who I would put in. But it's interesting that we're keeping the lines how they are with him. I don't know if we've necessarily seen him play with Minton and Husnudinov. We might have at the start of the season, or at least with one of them. I don't know if he's played with both of them. I do believe the three of them haven't been aligned this season. So that's something that I think is interesting. I don't know if I think that would work that well. I very much like pasta with those two. And I feel like if you want to put a player with them, not to say to like break everything up, but Geeky might be a fun player with them. But that's a line I'm going to kind of keep my eye on tonight, take some notes on. And probably also, if I'm feeling up for it, I used to live tweet during games. I'm probably going to do that again because that'll be fun. Also, again, totally off topic. But I'm now realizing if anyone who does follow me is watching this or has checked my page, my brain's also a bit scrambled because of something that had happened last week. But I'm okay. I'm alive. And I'm just going to put that there. I'm okay. I'm alive. My brain's scrambled from that and scrambled just from everything else. So that's where we are. I don't think there's anything else now that I'm thinking about it. Pre-game time that is going on. I think this is pretty much it for what both teams have confirmed so far. Carolina hasn't posted anything else. I just checked that. So I feel like we're at a good point where I can pull my lovely husband in for predictions because it's what we do to end an episode, and it's always fun. And of course, I'm going to start out with tonight.
Yes, I think we are going to lose.
Does it make you feel better that Bussy's in that?
Wait, what?
Our former goalie.
Oh, I thought you meant for us. And I was like, that's not possible.
No, it's not. That's why I said that.
Happened? Maybe I should have been listening to your podcast.
You know
today.
he's not on our team anymore.
That's why I was confused. I had no idea.
Yeah, he's 29-6-1 on the season in his first NHL season.
That's very good.
And we just faced another former Bruins
good
goalie.
For him. You know what? Good for him.
We're totally going to give him 30 tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, no. It's a nice even number. Yeah, no, I foresee... I think we're going to get shut out. I
mean, with the way we've been playing.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, 3-1. I'm going to say we get one, but only in like the last 5 minutes of the game.
Because we've only had one goal in our last 3 games.
Yeah. So 3-1 is my guess.
I know who you're saying, but I'm going to make you say the team anyways. What team, Jacob?
Are we playing tonight?
What team did we play the night of our wedding and on your birthday? Who is my other favorite team?
The Canes.
There you go.
I couldn't remember. I was blanking. Okay?
The game I wanted to go to because they only played in Boston once this season.
During our wedding.
No, on your birthday.
Oh, on my birthday, right. Why didn't we end up doing that? We talked about doing that.
Oh, no.
Remember. That's not
they also played at home for our wedding.
I was going to say, I remember you were like, can we just like leave our wedding?
They did play at home.
Game?
They played at home on 2 days. I couldn't go to.
No, we can't. We can't just leave
I
home.
think I blocked it from my brain that they played at home.
3-hour drive to get to Boston.
I think I played at home on our wedding to make it seem less sad for me.
Whatever. Okay.
I'm going for the sake of I really want the Bruins to win. And I feel like until I saw the goalie, I was set in this prediction, so I'm going to stick to my gut. 2-1 overtime Boston.
I believe the slang that the kids use these days is cope.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was delusional.
Delusional is not. I don't think kids these days can say delusional. They definitely can't spell it.
They say Delulu instead.
Delulu, yeah. Oh, I don't even know if they can spell Delulu.
So after tonight,
yeah,
we get a very much well-deserved rest. We have 3 days off. And we play Saturday at 12:30 back at home against Tampa. We've played Tampa 3 times. They've beaten us all 3 times.
Was it an overtime thing last time?
No. They beat us 3-1.
Oh, I was looking at the first one, not the...
You mean the second one?
The second one.
The second one went to a shootout.
Oh, no, I couldn't tell. Wow, those were much closer than our last one.
Okay. They're 6-2-2. They lost their last game, but their last game before that was against us, so...
You know what? 4-3 Boston.
Okay. I'm
taking a big swing.
You think we're having more than a goal?
Is this one? We're going to be at this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have better luck when I'm there. You just have to keep sending me out of the actual stadium.
Yeah, so fun fact, every time we've been to a game this season.
Every time I leave.
If he has left to go to the bathroom, to get food, whatever, we have scored when he has not been in his seat. So I'm going to send him away like 20 times. So when you see the Bruins suddenly having 20 goals on Saturday, it's because I sent him away.
People are going to be so confused. They're going to be like seeing the blank, like the empty seat next to you and be like, I thought you went with your husband. And I'm just like, yeah. No, but she kept sending me away. We did beat them 25-0, but you know. You have no idea. You want to say we're going to win, but you don't believe we're going to win.
I don't think we're going to win, but also they do have a confirmed playoff spot.
Oh,
they could start sitting some of their top guys to rest them. So it's like tricky situation.
Well, I mean, we know how we play against AHL teams.
Yeah,
we play worse,
lose.
so it actually might be.
So actually,
I mean, we played against Florida AHL, but instead of winning, we got absolutely creamed.
So when I say we lose 4-2,
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's totally valid. I can't even argue with that.
We also need, if every team wins, I did the math. It wasn't quick. This podcast can account for it. I literally stared at it and had to pull it up on my calculator because my brain just couldn't do quick math in my head.
Yeah.
We need, I believe it's a minimum of 3 points across the next 4 games to guarantee make the playoffs.
Oh my
but
God.
That means we'd beat the second wild. That's if every team wins all of their remaining games. It could genuinely be less if they all lose.
Yeah.
Like, if we win tonight, or even if we just get 1 point tonight, if every other team loses like their next 2 or 3, we could still lose a game and make the playoffs. If that makes sense. Like, it could just be at the point where teams need to lose
something.
Right.
We get some amount of points.
But I believe it is a minimum of 3 to confirm stay in the playoffs. If everyone wins all of their remaining games.
Okay.
So, we just need 3 points in 4 games.
Which literally could just be
3 overtime. Yeah.
And a loss is the minimum we can do.
Yes.
Or a win and an overtime.
Overtime loss, yeah.
Overtime loss, yeah.
If we get 2 wins,
yes.
Great.
No T loss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the last
final game. Until next week, where you have 1 game to predict. Potentially more because playoffs.
But we can't really assess that right now.
No, that'd be next week. So the game for next week, as of right now.
Blue Jackets.
Yes.
Are we going to be?
We play Columbus Sunday for our final back-to-back of the season.
We beat them every time.
At 6:00. We are in Columbus. We beat them in a shootout last time we were in Columbus. We beat them the time before that.
Watching that on a train.
Yeah, that was on the train.
Yeah.
I was like, what day was that?
While people were sleeping.
Oh my God, yeah, with Pasta and his passes. You were getting
I wanted to
pissed.
strangle him, but then also, that was a good shootout.
Mm-hmm.
They just had some solid shots. It was great.
They're, by the way, on a 6-game losing streak.
I'm going to choose to believe.
Granted, they will have games between now and when we play them. So that 6-game losing streak could either increase or it could change.
I'm going to say 3-2 overtime.
What team?
Oh, Boston, because I want to believe that we'll win against them.
Okay. That's cool.
You don't believe that we're going to win against them?
I'm back and forth. I do agree with overtime.
Not shootout?
No. Because I feel like if any were to go to a shootout, even though I've already picked it, it would be the Tampa game.
Yeah.
Or the Devils game, but we're not predicting that.
I think, yeah. Okay.
I don't know if I think we're going to win. I think it's going to be these are some wild numbers with the way the team is scoring. Everyone, please take this with a grain of salt. 5-4 Boston in overtime.
Okay. Ooh. Well, that's a prediction.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Am I needed?
No, you can run away. Okay, he's gone now, guys. We can talk about him. Anyway.
Excuse me. I will pull the podcast up while
anyways, those are some fun little predictions, and hopefully we have more wins than losses. I'm not gonna lie. We have puck drop in 6 minutes. Bruins just posted their lines, so before we go off, I'll do a quick little look at that. But, like they said, no lineup changes besides Steve's going in for Reichel. So we have Geeky, Elias Lindholm, Pasta, middle stat Saka, Arvidsson. Let's go, second line. I believe in you. Steve's Mitten, Husadinov, Jano, Corelli, Kastelik, Aspero, McAvoy, Lindholm, Lohrei, Zadorov, Peak. I feel like we can maybe put Harris back in. I haven't been mad with him, but also it is what it is. I'm not going to be like, change it. And then obviously Sway and net. And then I know we just posted our lines, but what if Carolina posted theirs? I don't know if they actually post their lineup. I'm not going to lie. They do post their lines. Okay. Yeah, all of their big names are playing. Because of course they are. Not mad about it. I'm not going to read all of their lines. Not to be rude to them. I do love the team, but they're not the Bruins. They're not who this podcast is about. But real quick, if you are watching, here is Carolina's lineup. It scares me as a Bruins fan. As a Canes fan. Woo! As a Bruins fan, no thank you. But there you go. Those were those fun lines. And now it is time to hopefully sit back and relax and watch the Bruins win a game. That starts in 4 minutes. It starts in 4. Puck drop's not till 7:08, so 12 minutes. But that's okay. Actually, before we go, I'm going to do a fun little thing. I need to send this in my family group chat. I brought this up before, and it's something I want to start doing next season, is incorporating a fun first goal prediction. And I've talked about this before. Sorry, I'm actively sending this text at the same time. But for the quick little recap is I want to, starting next season, maybe starting in the playoffs for fun, before a game starts, obviously the Bruins post the lines, but post it for the podcast and be like, who do we think is going to get the first goal? And put it in as a little prediction. And if you get it right, and you post it obviously before the game, before it actually happens. So like for a 7:00 game, let's say the Bruins don't score until it's 8:02. As long as you post who you think is going to get it before 8:02, and let's say it's Pasta, because it's Pasta. If Pasta has the first goal and you said he was going to get the first goal at like 7:20, you would win. And I was thinking of giving away little like mystery packs of hockey cards. And so the way it was going to work is, obviously it's a mystery to you guys. I'm going to know what's in the packs. But if you could either send a team you like outside of Boston, if you were to win it, or a team that you don't like, I'll know what's in each pack, so I can give you one that you wouldn't. Like I won't give you a pack that has like, I don't know, let's say you don't like the Canes. I'm not going to give you a pack that has the Canes, but if you're like, my other favorite team is Washington, I'd make sure there's at least a Washington card in there. And I feel like it's a fun way to like interact with all of you guys and give back for all the support you've given us. So I will make a proper video about that come closer to the playoffs, which is a week away. So I'll probably make a video about it tomorrow or something, just to post and be like, here you guys go. Here's the fun description about it. But we'll see how it goes. Sorry, as I was saying, my brain was like, that was the end of the thought. But I figured, because we do the first goal predictions, I have to do mine right now because I sent the lines. I figured it'd be fun to do it on here. So if you're listening and would like to drop who you think is going to get the first goal for the Bruins, feel free to. We're not going to do the cards for this one. It'll happen when I actually properly post about it. But this could be, again, a fun little thing to do. Staring at the lines. Geeky needs a goal. I'm not going to go the second line as much as I want to. Morgan Geeky needs his goal, so I'm going to pick Geeky. And when the season ends, because I do have the family spreadsheet, I tend to share the scores at the end of the season with everyone. So I'll post that at the end of the season so you can see where everyone's at. I think the top right now is me and my mom with 9. So that's something just fun to do and a fun little interaction between all of us because, again, I just kind of yap into the void and you guys listen. So thanks for that. Especially when I don't have all my thoughts together, which, again, very sorry about. It's also, while yes, it is easy to talk for a long time, sometimes I'm not going to lie, when I'm just by myself, I don't know how to talk. But when other people are involved, I do know how to talk. So it's like weird, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. But anyways, thank you all for joining us for the fun little pregame, looking at how the teams have been doing. I don't know if this necessarily went how I planned it, but it was fun. I'm not going to lie. If the Bruins posted on time, probably would have been slightly more organized, not a ton of pauses, and probably wouldn't have been as scattered. But that's okay because it reflects how the Bruins are currently playing. So again, not mad about it. It happens. But thank you for joining us. Again, if you would like to listen to the podcast and previous episodes, or you want to keep up with stuff we post and everything, you can find Pucks and Power Plays at Pucks and PPs Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you like to listen to your podcast. You can find Boston Sports Entertainment Network at BSEN_617 on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And then you can find them on TikTok as well with an extra underscore, so _BSEN_617. And then I'm Liz, and you can find me at Liz__Frazier. And until next week, when the regular season will be ending, and we'll know if we will know if we're in the playoffs or not. It was nice talking with you, and I will see you then. Bye.